Switching gears, Michigan football will be without its leader for 2 games this fall due to his alleged role in the sign-stealing ordeal. Sherrone Moore is facing a 2-game self-imposed ban, according to ESPN.
The head coach would miss weeks 3 and 4 against Central Michigan and Nebraska. The NCAA Committee on Infractions will meet in early June, and they could either accept the penalty or issue their own. A final resolution is expected before the season.
And with insight and perspective on this, plus other big changes happening in Ann Arbor, is John U. Bacon, Michigan aficionado, award-winning author and University of Michigan alum.
Thanks for joining us, John. Okay, so first let's talk about the coaching situation. Sherrone Moore, that suspension, we talked about how it's self-imposed. What's the purpose of that here?
Consider it a plea bargain, if you will, as you would in the court of law. Obviously, we're watching a poker game here. We can't see the cards really on either side. We don't know what the NCAA has. We don't know what Michigan knows about this, not publicly. So they're thinking that if they impose a 2-game suspension on Sherrone Moore, then they avoid a 4 or 5-game suspension, hopefully, for Michigan, instead of and bring it down to 2 games. Now, of course, that means a few things. They know he's going to get suspended for at least 1 or 2 games, or else he wouldn't bid that in the first place, naturally. And this suspension, by the way, is related to the sign-stealing episode, but it's not quite as direct. He erased a bunch of text messages on his phone, which is a bad idea, obviously, erasing evidence. They restored it, they sent it back to the NCAA, and there's nothing in there that was apparently all that bad for him, but it's obviously a bad look. So that is what they're addressing here as far as the role goes. So, and keep in mind, the NCAA can do whatever it wants at any point, pretty much. They tried this with Jim Harbaugh a couple years ago. They gave him a 3-game suspension to start the season. And then, of course, the NCAA gave 3 games more near the end of the season when the games really mattered: Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State. So this could work for Michigan or it could backfire. No idea.
Interesting. So, yeah, I wanted to talk to you about the games because I was interested in the fact that it was games 2 and 3. Is there a purpose there for that?
I think you're on your game there. Yes, exactly right. That is not by accident. That's not random games pulled out of thin air. They're trying to avoid the second weekend, which is Oklahoma, a very good team. It's also Sherrone Moore's alma mater. It's where he played line years ago. So, and it's on the road. And you also have a brand new quarterback, probably in Bryce Underwood, who's now 17. You need some help for that game, and Sherrone and Bryce Underwood, of course, are very close. So they're trying to avoid that if they can. That's the idea. You're right.
It'll be very interesting to see what the NCAA has to say about all this. Also, sticking with University of Michigan, President Santaono stepping down, moving to Florida. Does this come as sort of a shock to the community?
This came as a shock to the Board of Regents. They had no idea of any of this till Sunday afternoon.
Wow.
So this was very surprising. They knew in October that Florida had pitched for Santaono at that time, and Santaono had declined their overtures. He had also pitched in for the job at Oxford University in London, England, and also Harvard, and he didn't get very close to either one, I don't think. But they knew that he was kind of looking around even in his 2nd to 3rd year. But in January, what they didn't know is Florida came back with a much bigger offer, $3 million. That's 2 to 3 times more than what he gets paid at Michigan. They didn't realize that. So when he did not sign the letter that 5 of the regents wanted him to sign, pushing back on Trump, you might see basically self-interest, because he knows if he signs that, Florida's never going to take him. Florida's views on these things are very different, of course, than Michigan's, perhaps. So anyway, that's what they were dealing with. He had a great honeymoon, and it kind of fizzled after that. So no one was pushing him out, from my impression, but no one was trying to keep him either. So what's done is done.
I'm interested that you brought up the Trump administration in this, because, yes, he was very well liked in 2022. Would you say that his approval rating really went down once Trump got elected?
I don't think that had much to do with it. There was the GEO strike. That's the Graduate Employee Organization. That's the graduate assistants, basically. On that, he kind of disappeared. There was the Palestinian protests, of course, Israeli protests on campus. That he did okay on. Then the Trump factor, he was out of line with 5 of the regions at least. So that's going to be an issue there. But the real issue is the guy was in the office about 1 or 2 hours a week at the end. He was barely here. He was living in Oakland County, which we all love naturally, but it's not Ann Arbor.
Right.
That's not where the job is. So it's kind of he kind of checked out.
It'll be interesting to see who will be selected as the new president. Thank you so much for your insight here, whether we're talking football or we're talking the leadership of U of M. Lots of big changes.
John U. Bacon, he knows it all. Thanks so much for joining us, John.
Thank you.